Hi everybody, and welcome to our small group for this week. We looked on Sunday at radical generosity. And you remember I asked you at the beginning, when you hear that word generous, the first thing you think of is what? Money. And while money is part of being generous, it's only a small part of our lives. We talked on the fact that in our lives, God wants us to be radically generous, and it means a whole lifestyle. Now let me just review real quickly what we went over, and I mean really quickly here, just in case you missed it on Sunday. We looked at this letter that he wrote to people in Corinth. And in the letter, he's writing to them, encouraging them to help with an offering for the church in Jerusalem, which was really, really going through a tough time. And he's using the example of churches in Macedonia, a province of Greece. And he said, these guys in Macedonia, the way they gave displayed radical generosity. The way they gave, it was full of joy. It was enjoyable. When they gave radically, it was supernatural. It was beyond their natural means. And God had to step in. It was enthusiastic. They begged Paul to be able to be part of giving and helping. Paul says that they made it a spiritual habit. It was the result of being committed to Christ and also committed to the ministry of the church. And so we saw those four characteristics, and then the results, because there's always results to living this kind of a lifestyle, was that it increased their love for Christ, and that's what it'll do in our lives. It makes you more like Jesus, because Jesus gave. God is a God who gives, and it's not just a nice little saying. It's part of his character to give. Then we saw that it demonstrates my faith. It demonstrates or magnifies, it shows my faith. And it proves and just demonstrates that, hey, I really do have this connection to God. And then finally we saw it causes others to thank God. Remember we noted that in normal generosity, there's all kinds of things to give to, and people give a little bit here, a little bit there. And when the donor gives some money, who gets thanked? The donor gets thanked. But when you do something in the name of Christ, if you do something for his sake and to help others because you're a follower of Christ, what happens? God gets thanked. God gets glorified as well. And so that was what we looked at on Sunday. But before you go to your questions, I just want you to think about a couple of things here. As I thought about this, this whole issue of being radically generous, what are the greatest challenges to doing that? Like honestly, when you think about it, what is it that keeps us from being radically generous and applying what we talked about on Sunday? Well, I thought about it and I thought, for some of us, we're just scared. Like it's a scary thing to think, I'm going to live on the edge in terms of my generosity. Some people, if it's just a matter of we're lazy. Okay, God wants us to be generous with our time, with our energy, with what we do. And sometimes you just say, what? I don't feel like going and helping that person. Or I don't want to give time. Or I don't want to give them any kind of focused attention. I just don't have time. We're lazy. As we think about those challenges, I think we need to remember something. And it's this. Why does God want us to have that kind of a lifestyle? Like, he doesn't just tell us that for no reason at all. The answer to that question really goes to a deeper question. It's this. Why am I here? Like, why do I exist? Why did God allow me to be born? No matter what the circumstances of my birth, God wanted me to be born. And he wanted me for a purpose. Is it just to work and to accumulate some things so that I can be comfortable and maybe have some fun and then get old and die? Or is there a deeper purpose? Many people, in answering the question, why am I here? They fall back to an answer that someone has called the great lie. And it's a reflection of this, the way many people think. And the great lie is that life is all about me. Okay, or life is all about you. Okay, it's all about me, or at best, it's all about me and my immediate family. Okay, the people that are close to me. But you see, God says, no, 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 no. Life isn't all about you. Life is all about God and living in relationship and in sync with Him and becoming each day more and more like Him. You see, one of the big purposes of your life here on earth is to prepare you for heaven. God wants you to develop character qualities that prepare you for eternity. And one of the big character qualities that God has, that He wants us to have, is that He is generous. And He's radically generous. And we talked a little bit about that on Sunday. You know, this goes against everything that we think and the way we've been brought up. It just, you know, we think, oh, I'll give a few dollars here to this or that. But basically, it's all about what can I get for myself and for maybe my immediate family, and that's it. And God says, no, 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 it's the other way around. If you want to gain your life, you have to lose it. If you want to receive, you've got to give away. And, you know, for that reason, someone has called God's kingdom, being in God's family, God's kingdom, they call it the upside down kingdom, because it just does not go the way this world thinks. Well, I think I've said enough for this morning, this afternoon or this evening or wherever you are. And what I want you to do now is take these questions and look them over and be free to share with each other. Was this a challenging Sunday for you to hear these things? Was this the first time? What have your experiences been? Maybe there's some people in your group and you've experienced this whole concept of giving away and receiving back and God blessing you. Feel free to share those things. Okay, well listen, I hope you have a great small group together and we'll see you next week.